Hi everybody. I am jumping on here quickly to do a comparison video, which I owe some of you, of the two Sola Busca editions that I own. One by Giordano Berti on the left here and his company Rinascimento Italian Style Art. On the right here is a reproduction by Scarlet Imprint. First of all, let me say that I like them both. Second of all, I am not going to call a judgment in terms of which is better than which, because what's better for you and for me may be different, and that is largely because of the purpose or your aim. With the decks, I use these only for study and reference purposes only, and I call that a working deck, but working in a way that I work with them is for references and for study purposes. And so for as a reading deck or as a playing card, working, in a sense of a working deck that is playing cards, you play with it or you read with it, it means a different kind of activities will be involved. With the cards, riffle shuffling, overhand shuffling, each of them requires, or sometimes I'm more comfortable riffle shuffling with thinner cardstock, overhand shuffling often I'm more comfortable with thicker cardstock, and playing and reading, it's all kind of, yeah. So I like them both, first of all. Second of all, they're different. One is not better than the other. And third of all, I use these cards and I come to my assessment and opinions, personal opinions of these cards based on the fact that I use these cards for study and reference purposes, and that is my definition of a working deck at the moment, is working with them for references and study purposes, but not to play or to read with. So without further ado, let's have a look at the box first. This one here is by Giordano Berti and Rinascimento Italian Art. This was reproduced based on the Myers 1998 reproduction, I believe. Even the style of the box is very similar from what I can see online. I do not have a Myers 1998. I would love to see a comparison between Myers 1998, this one by Scarlet Imprint by Giordano Berti. That would have been a really, and one by illuminated, which only consists of majors only, I believe, out of courtesy for Giordano Berti, because they're both in Italy. I would love to see a comparison of all four. For those of you who have all four, or have one of the other two that I do not own, in comparison with one of these, that would be really good. So that's the box. The box is sort of almost, I want to say classic, but I don't know whether it's a classic, but it's commonly found, seemingly to me, this kind of book box type of thing where you can put together with your box. They can sort of blend in and you can take them in and out quite easily. It reminds me of older boxes from Il Meneghello as well, this book box style. So you have this ribbon here, and that you open up like so, and on the inside you have the booklet. I have a flip through of this, and I will link that video either up here or down below. And there's a lot of flip through of this particular edition, I believe. And then on the inside you have the cards stacked up and banded together with band of paper like so. Lovely note, and lined with red velvet. He also have available an edition with a more practical or a more efficient, well, I think it's a tuck box, but it's a slightly smaller looking box. I'm not quite sure if the cards or the decks of the same size. I believe they are, or whether they're smaller, but I will link his website down below and you can check that out yourself. So that's the box of that one, and let's see the box of Scarlet Imprint. The differences is obvious, but I'll go through them anyway. So this is a very, very elegant box. It's clean, it's plain, there's no tacky marketing, bannering all over the place. It's just black, and then you have Sola Busca Tarocchi, the title of the item, and the publisher, and that's it. I feel that, people or production companies who know the worth of their item or who know their worth do not need to shout it out from the rooftop every single time. yeah, crowding you with a call to purchase more product, because the products speak for themselves and you don't have to shout it out. People will come to you. Look at that. It's just absolutely elegant. Black with nothing else on it except for the lettering there. This is elegant as well, by the way. I really like this as well. I like Giordano Berti's boxes as well. They're of a different style, but they're equally as elegant, I feel, for me anyway. And the inside here, it's lined nicely with the same material. And then there's black velvet on one side here. The booklet is equally as elegant. It's just black. Again, nothing on it other than not even anything on the spine. Title of the thing, author, publisher, that's it. A brief guide to the trumps and court cards of the Sola Busca Tarocchi. There is a good flip through of this by Baltasar's Conjure. I'll link that below. And then there is what I believe is a trend originating with the Wild Unknown. I've never seen a box. Well, I have, but not in the tarot world until the Wild Unknown. So you have the box to keep unapologetically sturdy with a ribbon there, and again lined in the snake skin or lizard skin, whatever this is, over on the sides, and then on the one side is black velvet. For those of you who own the deluxe, I think it's the deluxe edition, is the fanciest edition of the Game of Saturn by Scarlet Imprint, you would notice that this reptilian pattern here complements very well the spine covering, the spine leather. So the spine and it's a bit like if there are books, the binding here like that is covered with, I believe, a genuine skin of some kind that looks like this as well. So you can imagine a black book with the spine that has this texture, and then you have this box with it. You could just imagine that would be a really handsome pair. So that's the box. So let's look at the cards. I'm not going to show you all the cards because I believe 1 or 2 cards is sufficient. So let's take the first 2 cards. It's sufficient to illustrate the point of differences. So as you can see here, the coloring of the Scarlet Imprint is indeed more saturated, which is what they've advertised. There before they published this. They did say that it was going to be more vivid and more accurate to the current copy that you can find in the museum. The Ministry for Culture and Heritage of Italy, I believe, purchased the deck from a private collection in 2009. I believe Giordano Berti has his license or his reproductions based on the Myers 1998, and whatever licensing procedure involved in that. And Scarlet Imprint on the right, I believe, obtained their reproduction right and reproduced their cards based on the one in the museum currently. And so let's have a look at the Fool here, Il Matto. As you can see, both are lovely. I like them both. The one on the right seems more vivid, but also if you notice, it seems darker as well. So it feels darker as well. On the left there, it feels lighter in the eyes. It feels more fresh, but it also means that the coloring is less saturated. So let's take a look at the red here. Now, which one is more accurate to what is currently in the museum? Apparently, the Sola Busca deck is in a very pristine, well-preserved condition, which is one of the reasons why it was concluded that it's never used out in the open, but kept hidden somewhere or not used in a social manner. And the size seems smaller on the right, but it is actually the size of the reproduced image or images are actually the same. So if you look, Giordano Berti's on the left have the same size reproduction. Take a look at that. You see that it's the same. The difference is that Berti's edition is cut further out in the paper, causing it to have this tiny wee border there, while the Scarlet Imprint's edition is cut right into the original facsimile of the image. Now let's have a look at, for some of you who own the Game of Saturn book, your first inkling of what the Sola Busca by Scarlet Imprint might look like is the images in the book itself. So I'm gonna show you. So let's take a look at card number 1 here, Panfilio. Here, okay, this is a big book, and I have to hold with one hand the other side of the book. So this is the reproduction image on the book by Scarlet Imprint. This is Scarlet Imprint's reproduction card. And this is Giordano Berti's over here. Oops. So the image you can find in the book is pretty much similar to the images Scarlet Imprint have produced in their cards, except that in the book it's slightly, ever so slightly darker again. The colors as vivid. Giordano Berti's more light. The light is, the saturation is lower, but it's brighter. So which one you like, it really depends, really. I believe they're both, if you are a collector, they're both worthy of collecting. I think they're both as nice. I like them both. To put it in. To summarize, okay, so I'll put this book aside again, and let's talk cardstock. So on first impression, the Scarlet Imprint version on the right here feels thicker, and I did think that maybe it's because the card is smaller. Let's have a look. Pardon the noises, because neighbors on both ends are doing some renovation, construction, repainting, all sorts of renovation work. So let's see if we can eyeball it. I'm not quite sure if we can, but we'll try. Whether the cards are actually thicker or whether they just feel thicker because they're probably a little bit smaller. Okay, which number is that? I have no idea. It doesn't really matter. Okay, it seems that the Scarlet Imprint's deck stacks up a little higher than the Giordano Berti's deck. So yes, the cardstock is a little thicker. Now let me try to angle it a certain way so you could see the difference. There it is. Can you see that? Here. There. So the cardstock is thicker. Again, which one is better for you depends on whether you riffle shuffle this to read and to play, or whether you just, like me, mainly work this as study deck and reference deck only. And so those are the decks. Oh, the back. I need to say something about the back. So I believe the back is original. This kind of looking back is original to how it is, how they are in the museum. The interesting thing is that if you look at the back, they're not actually the same. They're of the same style, but they're not the same. If you look at these spots there, now I'm wondering if Scarlet Imprint's back are original to what they have in the museum, while Giordano Berti's backs are recreation or a mimicking of what the original backs would have looked like. Maybe this is how it was on Meyer's edition. I'm not sure. For those of you who have the Meyer's edition from '98, I would love to hear from you. If I have to guess, I would guess that the backs of the Scarlet Imprint is how the backs actually are in on those cards in the museum currently. Because although these two, as you can see, are of the same spirit in style and aesthetic, if you look at those white dots, I don't think they're the same backs. So that's something I would love to know. Yeah, so that is it, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.